Hello, hello. It's been a while since I have done one of these deck techs. I haven't been playing Highlander, but I've been, following, looking at new cards. And speaking of, newish cards, anyways, uh, this is Scorpic Lord. This is kind of the reason I built the deck. I finally got to use some cards that I've had sleeved up for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years at this point, or some longer. That I just wanted to put in this deck. So this is a blue black bots deck. It's a lot of artifact creatures. It's trying to be really aggressive, and yeah, I'm just excited to show you guys a new deck. So the points in this deck are all in fast mana. It's 4 for Soul Ring, 5 for Mana Crypt, which went up in November, and 1 for Tolarian Academy. I think this is probably the best spread. If I wasn't playing blue cards, I might change this to a Mana Vault just to get that boost. And I still might even do it now. Really, this was the hardest one to decide because both are really good, just what you're doing in respect. So I decided to go with an Academy. I'm a little bit higher. I do have some blue cards in here. I originally started out as mono black, actually. But I like this spread, and really, yeah, you're just trying to get ahead on mana. I'm just going to go over most of the lands here quickly, aside from the Academy. So you just have fast lands, lands that are artifacts or can turn into artifacts. Some of your fetch lands, another fast land. Tutor land, creature lands, artifact lands. That's really what you're trying to do. One land that I do have, Urza Saga, of course, very good in a deck like this, which has probably 20, 31 drops. One land that I don't have in here is Mishra's Workshop. I don't own one, so I've put in Urza's Workshop. Definitely not what I'm doing. I don't have the other Urza's lands in here, so really it's just a colorless, but I'll use this as my proxy Mishra's Workshop. It's the $3,000 less card, so that's what I'm doing for lands. And again, if you don't have a workshop or you want to proxy it, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. I'm just playing with the Urza's Workshop for now. So, like I mentioned, this deck has a fair amount of new cards. And it's kind of the reason I built this deck. I was seeing all these cool artifacts come out, and I was like, okay, I want to play with some of those. So I have the Scorpic Lord here as kind of like the headliner. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+0 and have Menace. It has on Earth as well, and it's the 3/2. So respectable body, ancient 2 mana. That's kind of what we're looking for. On the other end of the spectrum, we have this Sicarian Infiltrator. These are both Warhammer cards. It has Flash, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card as a 1/2. One thing I really like about this card is it has Squad, which I think is a really cool ability. You just pay 2 and you get an extra copy, and it's like you can multi-kick it any number of times. So if you pay 4, you get 2 extra guys, and they both draw you a card. So I like this as kind of like I won't say it's a roadblock, it's a 1/2, but it replaces itself when you cast it. If you have more mana just lying around, you make a bunch of tokens or draw 2 cards. I really like this guy. Along with the other Necrons now, I'm going to have to figure something out because I don't know if you can see, it's quite bent. These stupid foils. This is the worst part about the new cards. Whenever one or more artifact cards leave your graveyard, create 2/2 artifact creatures. Now, there are some ways to do that in this deck, like with an Emery, but I would say most of the time, really, we're just using this as a pump on one of your other creatures, gives them Menace and +2/+2. But this ability can trigger in our deck, so certainly nice. New card off the newest set, just a 3/1 for 2 mana. Sometimes you'll draw a card, but really you're playing it for this text, 3/1 and 2 mana. just to be really aggressive. Thrawn Spider, I think this card is awesome. I really like this card. It's a 3 mana 2/4 with reach because it's a spider. And when it enters, you and your opponent each make a Power Stone token. It's a tapped artifact that taps for 1. And for 7 mana, you can draw a card basically. This card I think is really good as it ramps you. It gives you a body to attack or block. And yeah, I would highly consider playing this in basically any of your artifact decks. This one it's kind of a weird one. Liberator, it's a 3 mana 1/2, so this is like the worst Hovermere in existence. It has flash and flying. You may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. I also have a Shimmer Mirror in the deck, but really that's kind of just to help you around control decks to tap on their turn or whatever. One thing that is nice is whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than this guy's power, you put a 1/1 counter on this. So this can grow, and basically if you cast a 2 mana spell, this is now a 2/3. You cast a 3 mana spell, it's now a 3/4. So that's why I like this guy. Obviously it's better early, so when you still have cards that you can slam into play, but it's also kind of combat tricky because you can grow it mid-combat because it gives your spells flash. Pretty cool card. Surge Engine, 3/2 with Defender, but for blue it slowly gets, it's a really aggressive creature, and then a 5/4 grows itself, and then eventually you can draw 3 cards. I don't think you're ever activating that ability, but if you do, you're probably winning because you have 6 mana in play, and this thing hasn't died. So I really like this guy too. Again, 2 mana, 3/1. You can't block. He can come back from your graveyard. It is a mana mirror. I'm not playing any of the other mana mirrors. The main reason I'm playing this one is because it has 2 power. So that's just power creep, and sometimes you just want to hit him for 2. Again, 2 mana, 3/1. When it attacks, it's some graveyard hate, has Unearth. Unearth actually is another way that you can trigger Imhotep. So that's kind of a nice bonus. The Combat Courier, another Unearth guy, just 1/1 gives you some affinity for artifacts if you need that. This is one of our removal spells in the deck, and or draw spells, and a mana rock. This card I think is really good as well. It is 5 mana, so it better be in this format. But you can draw 2 cards, kill a thing, and it always adds 2 mana, but only for artifact spells or abilities. This I guess isn't exactly new. It is the Ebony Fly. It's a mana rock that enters tapped, and when you have enough mana, like if this is your turn 2 play or turn 1 play off an Ancient Tomb or something, eventually you can roll roll a d6 for 4 mana. This turns into a creature, and when it attacks, somebody else gets flying. So kind of just a nice mana sink late game. I kind of hate this card, but I thought, it seems good enough. It's you can cast it for 0, and then you just have a 1/1 crew 2 vehicle. Not very good, but as long as you're paying mana into it, you can either boost the clown car or make some clowns. I think just a way to go wide, or get something that survives a wrath. I think the clown car is, again, good enough. We'll really have to see when I play this card how well it performs. So those are the majority of the new cards. There are other cards that are like new, but I think these are the newest, at least to me. Okay, let's see what else we got. So here I just have a variety of artifacts really that I wanted to talk about. These are some of your mana rocks. So Power Stone, Monolith, Opal, Diamond, Petal. Just things to help you accelerate or reduce your cost with affinity. We have some of our equipments, so cranial plating, skull clamp. I'm using the Warhammer version because I think it's pretty cool. And Shadow Spear. I think these are some of the most efficient equipment we can play. There is technically another equipment, but it's a living weapon, so I just left it aside. So you have your card draw, your reach, and just really efficient. It's a little tricky because you can attach it at instant speed. Those are our equipment. And then these are kind of just utility. I don't know if I should be playing Bauble or not. I just put it in there as a way to help metalcraft or whatever. This is basically our draw card. You just get to play off the top, so it's future sight for artifacts. And Manifold Key. The reason I'm playing this over Voltaic is we're not trying to go infinite. It does help with some of rocks, the power stones or whatever, but target creature can't be blocked this turn. That's really why we're playing something like that, and the additional utility it has. So these are two vehicles aside from the clown car. Both I think are really good. One has some evasion, draws you cards, and crew one, so off your stupid clown or something. Really good, survives the wrath. And then the Mukatai's Soul Ripper. Again, it's a vehicle that grows. It has a form of evasion with menace as long as you sacrifice something. And yeah, it's pretty cheap as well. So I like both of those. And then just really some copy effects. Copy the best thing that you have going on in the battlefield to basically copy artifacts. So yeah, that's kind of our utility. So here we are with the bulk of the deck. These are all the creatures that make it work. You just have the Cannoneer, a big evasive guy, which basically has hexproof. Cyberdrive Awakener. This turns all your non-creature artifacts into creatures, and also gives all your artifact creatures flying. Thought Monitor has affinity and draws you some cards. Pumps all your guys. It's a removal spell. I'm just going to go through these kind of fast. Yeah, Evasive Beater. This is an artifact creature as well. You're probably not going to use Ninjutsu, but it is a 3/1 that costs 2 mana. Here's a really good equipment. A 3/1 Menace. Baleful Strix, some card draw, Stonecoil, Ballista, Ginger Brute, Ravager, Automaton. I really like this card as well. I've been playing it in some other formats just as a way to grow out of reach. That's really fun. Another way to trigger the Imhotep guy. Steel Overseer, pump all your team. Protection from everything. Cheaper. Here's the other equipment, the living weapon I was talking about. That's just a big guy. Scrap Trawler, which helps you, loop some things. That's also why I have something like the Bauble in, to help you keep drawing cards. The Shimmermere, a Frogmite, the classic 4-mana 2/2 that costs 0 mana. Yeah, I just like the Frogmite in this deck. A Lodestone Golem to make your opponents a little bit harder. And then the Sojourner's Companion, affinity for artifacts, artifact land cycling. There's a couple lands you can find with it. So that's really the bulk of our deck and what we're trying to smack with. I think I'm going to go over the rest of the deck now, which is non-artifact cards, but they all synergize with artifacts, so they've found their spot. Karn, I think most of the time you're going to use the -2. By the time you have 4 mana, you're just going to be like, okay, make a 3/3 or 4/4, make a 3/3 or 4/4 again, so they're 5/5s. And yeah, I think that's the easiest way to use him. Just really good as a guy who gets your beaters down. Opposition Agent, and I also have Hull Breacher in here. These two Flash guys, I think, are really good in a deck like this, where even though you're playing really aggressive in artifacts, you have a couple Hate Bear type effects. Keep your opponent on edge. Emery, again, it's usually a 1-mana 1/2 that just lets you keep casting things from your yard. Sai makes a bunch of Thopters. Thoughtcast draws you some cards. Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus. This is a card I've had since it was printed, and I've never played. because I've never like found that deck for him. There was Tesserator for a long time, and I think even in Legacy, but I never really liked playing that deck. Here, he's our card advantage. He makes maybe our lands into 5/5 creatures, whatever, and he ults very fast. He just goes +1 and then minus for dome your opponent. Way to increase the mana, and our second removal spell. I'm considering the Mightstone and Weakstone a removal spell. This is maybe the next one. I considered playing things like Dismember or other, but this is what I ended up at, and I do like this configuration. So that's the deck. It was really fun to build, and I like doing this. I think this style of deck where you're just like slamming out some 2-mana 3/1s as fast as you can and trying to go fast, kill your opponent, does appeal to me. And I hope to do more of these soon. There's another deck that I want to make or has caught my eye, and some decks that I want to build with the Conduit of Worlds. So stay tuned for those. Thanks a lot. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you have any ideas you want for deck techs or something you want me to cover, let me know. I'm hoping to keep doing this for a while, at least until I run out of ideas. So thanks again. Have a good one.